Joining me on Newsnight is Julius Mukunda, who is a national coordinator for CSBAG. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
And the Deputy Secretary General of the NRM, Richard Todong. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Now, I see you smiling. And many people on social media saying this is round one, waiting for round two. Your reaction, Julius?
No, I think we have been really waiting for this news for a long time. The exercise duty came, the income tax bill stayed behind. So we were wondering what His Excellency was doing. But then we are glad that he was consulting to understand exactly what is happening. And yes, yesterday, boom, it happened. And he said, no, this can't happen. And when you read the statement, the tone of the statement really is like, please, this is bad manners. You can't do this. He was like, telling don't do it. You can't be a leader and then you exempt yourself. You say, me, I am special. Therefore, the rest of you should do the same.
Right.
So this is not the story of the animal farm that some people are more important than others. So as this, we are very happy. We are proud of the president. We appreciate his efforts. And there is no history. There is nothing in the history of the parliament where it has rejected a president's request like this. So at this moment, we think it is good to go.
Could this be the first thing, Richard, where MPs were earlier, actually, for lack of a better word, blackmailing the president, saying if you do not sign this, we are not going to pass the budget?
Thank you, and once again, good evening, viewers. And I'm just excited. I'm excited that my chairman and my president has taken a very pragmatic step and a bold step, and we're yet to see many. And this is one of those that Uganda should be expecting to see. Because one, he's been telling us many times that leaders should always identify with the people. Yes. Leaders should feel concerned about the people's cry. Yeah. Leaders should not carry themselves out of a situation and watch people in a situation and think they can prescribe solution to a situation. If citizens are paying taxes, if citizens are crying of high prices, if citizens are crying of this and that, and you insulate yourself as leaders out of that situation, then you're not a good leader.
This is very shocking coming from you because that parliament is consisting largely of NRM members of parliament. Who
and I'm a member of that parliament. Mind you, I'm a member of parliament until the 18th of this month.
You are an outgoing member of parliament.
Oh, yes.
What do you think might have pushed this?
I think the whole thing is we need to put into context that for a long time, like I said earlier on, the president has always been saying that we need to find a better way of remunerating members of parliament so that members of parliament are not seen as a few, the cream of society that are earning more than 20% of the tax revenue in terms of allowances, benefits and facilitations and all that. Because it's been overall a cry to everybody that members of parliament earns a lot of money. Yes, members of parliament are paying pay as you earn on their salaries, which is true. This that they are trying to lobby for was their taxation on their allowances, which as per the Income Tax Act, allowances are not supposed to be taxed by the virtue of being called allowances. But when it becomes consistent and every month timely, it becomes an income to the earner, and therefore it attracts tax.
Richard, are you saying this because by resolution you're not going to be benefiting from this?
No, not really. Because some of us really, even when we're in that parliament, basically I shared most of my earning with my constituency. So really, to us, it's only a good practice that we need to pay our dues. We need to pay taxes. If you are paying, why shouldn't I pay?
Yes. Certainly.
Yes. And you see the whole idea is not whether they are paying or not they are paying. For us as social organizations, what we are saying that every person pays a fair share of tax. If you are earning 100 million, pay your fair share. If I'm earning 1 million, let me pay my fair share. And the question of taxing allowances, let me tell you, is that these health workers, you remember they wanted to go on strike. Even the food they give them, the food allowance they give them is taxed because it comes consistently every month and it is consolidated into a salary at the end of the month. So I think for me, from here, let us look at the whole income tax bill and ensure that it is a fair tax law that takes care of different needs of people. Surely by taxing a lunch allowance for a medical worker, I think it's wrong. It's morally wrong. But because it is consolidated into an income, then it becomes that. And lastly is for me the whole thing about remuneration in this country. We need a salary commission in this country. Because when you see a driver in a KCCA earning almost with a permanent secretary of another ministry, I think it's wrong. It's
Isn't it about attaching value to what you do? If you attach value, then do you blame the head of for example, KCCA for wanting her staff to be paid properly?
Exactly, and because of the absence of a salary commission, she's able to negotiate in that way.
Maybe
every time.
Simon, if I can come in here, we stand at about 38 million people projection in population.
Yeah.
I think the actual could be 34. Out of that, only 600,000 Ugandans are employed by government.
Yeah.
Now, you cannot say you pay 600,000 Ugandans more than 10% of the budget, yet went close to 37.6 million are not earning salaries
on their own.
Rationally, it doesn't come up.
Doesn't.
I was a member of the Constitutional Review Commission in the early 2000s. That subject came before our commission, and the logic then was that members of parliament should be independent. Nobody should determine their pay, so that they are independent in exercising their duties. And so when our report went to the Committee of Parliament of Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, of course we recommended a salary and remuneration board. The committee shut it down, saying no, we don't take this. Members of parliament should be independent in exercising their duties. If you put a committee to set emoluments of members of parliament, their hands will be tied. So our recommendation in the report was thrown aside.
You are Deputy Secretary General. Why isn't government appointing that commission, that committee?
No, it's not the word why. It is just the Bible says there is time for everything.
No, but
this gesture is already. This gesture
has been going on for a very long time.
What the president has done, for your information, is an indicator of yet a bigger thing to come.
Well, and you see, this idea came to this parliament. They threw it out, and I think that's why we are having even this problem. Because the moment you allow members of parliament to determine their own emoluments, that's a disaster. Because that's why you're having members every year they are increasing their allowances.
Right.
And that's why even the contingency fund did not work. The moment they put it there, they took it up and they said, please, we have to pay our fee for
civil society is very very loud on some of the failures of government, and because I understand you are interested in pro-people policies. What do you think? And in this case, say, the NRM has really failed on delivering.
I think the Salary Review Commission is the number one. I would have loved our honorable member to we would like him to tell His Excellency the President that the next thing on his agenda should be a Salary Review Commission, because it's really affecting each and every civil servant. They are losing morale. If you find a driver is earning more than you, if you are a director in another place, I think they should definitely work on that. The other important element for me is that we need to deal with corruption. Seriously, we need to deal with corruption in this country. It's just too much.
Richard, how are you going to change that? Many of the people who are managing these agencies, parastatals, NRM cadres, you are Deputy Secretary General, and you need to come out clearly on this. The next 5 years, what is the NRM stand on corruption?
You know, civility requires uniformity. Okay? If, for example, in the market now, the labor market, if I finished imagine you and me were in university and we finished in the same time, and we graduated having gone through the same course, we come to the labor market, I get a job in the mainstream public service, you get a job in the corporate organization affiliated to government. Having studied the same course, having graduated at the same time, you could be earning more than I do, and yet we are all from the same university, graduated at the same time.
Yes. Right.
That is unfair. Same to professionals, doctors, and then the topic, the discussion is bigger than what we are saying, and that could determine why doctors, engineers, scientists are not being attracted to working in government? Is it because of the low pay? Is it because of the options? Or you just go and register in government so that you earn your small income, you wait for your pension, and you do your other job in other places? When I was a presidential advisor for Northern Uganda, it was a very serious issue. You go to a hospital, you find a doctor employed by government, earning government salary, for example, or a teacher even. But you find such a teacher is doing what they call moonlighting, teaching in more than 3-4 schools. He's giving less time in government school. At the end of the day, performance in government schools are declining, and performance in private schools are improving, because the private schools pay more than the government schools. Then, now government revised, and at the moment, salaries of teachers in the government schools are more than those in private schools.
But still, we have poor quality.
Poor quality in government schools
than private schools.
So the discussion really is a very useful discussion.
And I think for me,
my thinking is that our members of parliament, being people's representatives, should use this as a mirror to reflect on some of the decisions they make.
Right.
Because they shouldn't put themselves above the mark and put the people behind. Because some of these cost many members of parliament votes in the last election.
The ones who didn't come.
Yeah, I mean,
Honorable, understand 30 seconds. Your take on the press ban, not covering opposition activity.
Well, you told me this gentleman is from the civil society. I was about to ask that, how civil is the civil society? I think when the minister was making that, issuing out that statement, he gave some explanation. It was out of a cabinet decision, and then cabinet is the ultimate body that makes such a decision. And I'm sure there is need for us to have harmony. There is need, yes, whenever there is competition, definitely there is a winner and there is a loser. And there is always bitterness. We should always prepare for such kind of situations. But to what extent should we continue like this as a country? You know, to me, I always say that these Honorable Besige's actions are predictable, and the police actions are also predictable.
Yeah.
He's coming out of his home, he's arrested, taken back to his home, put under house arrest, the police relax a bit, then he escapes, comes back and is arrested, taken back. It's a ping-pong game. For how long are we going to continue like this?
Right.
You know, if someone is complaining that, yes, his votes were rigged, then you go back to the nitty-gritty of elections. How many LC3 chairmen do you have as a party? How many LC5 chairmen do you have as a party? How many MPs do you have as FDC? To warrant you saying, my votes were rigged at the presidential level.
Right.
FDC performance has been declining, for your information, from 2006, 2011, 2016 now. If you look at the drops, we have these figures. So, of course, as a party, we are interested in analyzing our performance based on other people's performance. So that tells you, and then so, if Dr. Besige is saying he has the right to be heard, yes, Ugandans have heard you. The courts have heard you. The 9 judges, all of them ruled against you. So what is it?
He was not in the Supreme Court.
He was not, but he was not.
Julius,
He wasn't.
What next? You have round one, like you said. What is civil society going to do now?
We are going to work on taxation reforms in this country to ensure that taxations are fair, taxations are equitable, and that we ensure that the taxation base in this country expands, but also to thank everybody who participated in this petition. Oh, by the way, we collected 4.2 million signatures and submitted them to the Prime Minister's office.
Wow.
So that was a mark.
And the president's decision was not based on your signature.
Because we submitted on Friday,
and you have to give it to him.
Please, 4.2 million. We submitted on Friday and the decision on Monday. So really, we thank him for that.
Well, we'll take this discussion on social media platforms, Facebook and Twitter. #TaxMPs. We'll be sampling some of those comments at the tail end of tonight's bulletin. Let's take a break. When we come back, more on NTV.